View from the top. CEOs review the news on video for FT.com. This week, Niklas Zennström of Skype. In this segment, discussing Skype, eBay, and Europe's attitude to entrepreneurs. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Zennström.
Pleasure to be here.
I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the future of voice over internet protocol. How do you see it developing?
Well, today we have a massive amount of people using the internet to make voice calls, and that's something that we see as continues to progress. But what's important here is that, of course, you can make free calls, you don't pay for the calls. But what's more interesting to me is that this is about communications, conversations. And it's not only about talking to each other, it's about seeing each other video, it's about having text messaging, it's about sharing files, showing when you're busy, when you're not busy. So it's about enriching the conversations.
Why do you think Vonage is having so many problems?
What Vonage is doing compared to what Skype is doing is completely different business models. While we are doing software that enables you to communicate over the internet, Vonage is providing traditional telephony services. However, they're using the internet as the last mile, but it's a traditional telco business model where they're doing a lot of TV advertisements and they're shipping out the boxes to the consumers. So it's a very capital-intensive model. So it's not very new as in terms of a business model.
And you think that capital-intensive element is what is causing them to have some difficulties now?
That one, and it's not. The service is not differentiated from telephony services. So you have cable companies offering the same type of services, and they are actually bundling this with their access services.
What are you getting out of the eBay relationship?
Now we've been part of eBay for about a year and a half, and it's been very good actually, because first of all, it's been helping me tremendously to grow the company, because it's a challenge to grow a company with such a fast speed as we're doing, and getting the help from the executives at eBay has been really, really helpful, because eBay has, of course, gone through this experience once before.
Do you feel you're getting enough out of the potential synergies with eBay?
I think the synergies are great. I think what's important is to not overemphasize trying to squeeze out every single synergy, because what's important here is that we are a company which are growing very fast. We have a roadmap. We have PayPal have their roadmap, and eBay marketplaces have their roadmap. So we need to put in, prioritize synergies in the right, face it in the right phasing. Otherwise, if we would focus everything about synergies, we would not focus on end user experience and just building out the product. So I think we have a pretty good balance.
How much do you worry about reliability of Skype?
Yeah, well, quality is really, really important to us. And when the voice quality of Skype is actually much, much better than a telephone call. But it's a little bit like a mobile phone. When you are in an elevator, for example, maybe the network connection drops out. When you're out in countryside, the network connection drops out. With Skype, it's the same thing. When you have a poor internet connection, you may experience that the calls are dropping out. So Skype itself is very reliable. It's actually probably the most reliable network there is, because it's a completely distributed peer-to-peer network. But if you have a poor network connection, you may experience unreliable call quality.
And what can you do to help end users not get frustrated by that?
So what we're doing is that we're continuously investing in improving our voice quality, in innovations, and in the core algorithms which are compressing the voice. So, for example, if you actually are experiencing packet loss. So, for example, some of the internet packets that have been sent to you are not coming through. We can then make up for that. We can guess. The software will then guess what the sounds would actually be, and reproduce them at the other end. So we are continuously improving that.
Some people have started to talk about that maybe eBay has peaked.
Well, eBay is, of course, like a phenomenal success story, not only on the net, but as a business from where it's come and where it is now. But now it's also getting into another phase of its life, where maybe from the hyper growth to a more, maybe a bit slower growth, but also more growing from where it's now to even a bigger company. And I think it's been really amazing to be part of now, 1.5 years, how the company is going through this maybe shifting of phases where it continues to grow very fast, but in a little bit different way. So I think that's like a great opportunity for eBay. And I think that the other thing I'm really excited about actually is PayPal opportunities to do services outside of eBay marketplaces.
What's the single most important thing you've learned personally from Meg Whitman?
Well, I think that is like to be really good at focusing on the organization. And when you have a small company, it's very easy to manage people and communicate. As it gets bigger, you need to be so much better in communicating what the strategy is, what the vision, and what the priorities are. So I think those are just the things have been the biggest learning for me.
Is it hard to innovate and be an entrepreneur in Europe? Are there structural barriers?
Yes, there are certainly barriers for that. I mean, one of the challenges we have in Europe is a culture which is not very pro-entrepreneurship. It's much more look at entrepreneurs as people who don't really fit in so much in society maybe, and it's difficult to raise money. If you're failing as an entrepreneur, people say, well, I told you so, it didn't work out. And it's difficult to recruit people to join startup companies, because to leave behind all job security and pensions and all those kind of things is much more difficult. Then you also have difficulties with bureaucracy. It's
government bureaucracy.
Yeah, government bureaucracy. For example, there's a lot of, in many countries in Europe, there's a lot of job protection, which, by itself is very good, of course. But if you start a company with your own money and you need to hire 2 people and the company is not going so well, you need to be able to let those people go. In many European countries, it's difficult to do that.
And now, Nicholas Sennström places his bets on long short. Okay, now we'll play long short. Are you ready?
Yes.
Network television.
Hold.
Estonia.
Long.
Silicon Valley.
Hold.
The euro.
Long.
Sarkozy.
Short.
Notebook computers.
Long.
London house prices.
Unfortunately, long.
Russia.
Long.
MySpace.
Long.
Microsoft.
Short.
Thank you very much. That was Nicholas Sennström. You can also listen to Nicholas Sennström discussing online video and user-generated versus professionally created content. Next week, Andrew Liveris of Dow Chemical reviews the news on FT.com's View from the Top.